Anyway, the Stammtisch in Germany means the tribal table. A Stamm is a tribe or a group. So it's the tribal table in these large restaurants, old restaurants, ancient places. And usually they can be 6 chairs to 12, 15, you know, old round, usually round tables. And the elders of the towns would drink they had their own steins hung, you know, by the bar.
Yeah.
And they would toast each other with their own coded, like fraternities, you know, their own codes and everything were important. And they were farmers, a lot of them, simple men. And I started going into this place called, in that little village of Lustenau. It's a beautiful restaurant, gilded work outside and lanterns hanging, and I thought, you know, it was a hotel with a restaurant. And out of curiosity, finally one day I just had to go in there, you know, because I was on a real student budget. I painted houses that summer, and Pete did, and went to Germany with $800 in my pocket for a year, you know. And Dad helped me a little in the end. But anyway, the whole thing was we could do it ourselves, you know. That idea Pete and I had. So I went in there one day, mid through the year, and they had a menu outside, and you know, it was $4 or $5 for a nice supper. And the restaurant, the little tavern at the beginning of the village was $2. So I never would go in a place like that usually. But I went in there, and the lady Elsa was the daughter in her local peasant dress and blouse. Beautiful girl. She was about 20, 25, 28 then. And of course I was smitten by her immediately. And had long hair, and you know, and I gave her the local greetings. I learned all the local little language at that point. You know, I mean, I was there for 5 months already, or 6, and turned on my homemade Swabish. You know, that's the local tongue.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh yeah," she said, "Are you born on this end of the town or on the other?" And she picked up right away and was kidding me back, you know, or something like that. And I said, "Well, I can't remember anymore. It's been so long ago, you know, when I was a young kid." And we got kidding. She liked that right away. And so right away she said to me then, "Si sento the Americana here." And he said, "You're indeed the American who lives there, aren't you?" Because I was the only American in the whole village. And everybody in town got to know that I was an American.
Right.
And in the town shower, they have a town bath. And for, I think it was 20 cents worth or something, you know, you brought your towel, and you could use the showers for 15 minutes or so and dry off in the shower, put your clothes back on, or new clothes, and because we had no showers in the houses we lived in. So everybody was using them once. The farmers, for the weekend church and everything, they were always huge room, all sitting against the wall, this huge room, men and women, peasants, you know. And students would use them 3 times a week or so, you know. They weren't working in the fields. So when I started out there, you know, the first thing the landlady told me, she said, "Now, you know, we have no bath here. You have a wash basin upstairs for your room, but no bath." She said, "You go down the street to that big building there, you know, and it said Bathhouse." So you get to know that right away. And the first week I was in there, I noticed there were about 20, 30 people along all the walls with the kids playing. They're all peasants, and big baskets full of change of clothes, and of course everyone knew everybody intimately well, you know. And I walked in and it got silent. I mean, it changed right away, you know, like, here's the foreigner, and we want to listen if he speaks. And they told me this later. 2 guys over there that were there a lot, farmers, well, they owned a brewery and made their own beer for the town. The one guy finally told me, his name was Carl somebody, and he said, you know, "Well, we know you're from America, but we didn't know you were Indian." because I had my sweatshirt on when I arrived, Indiana University. And my landlady thought, she said, Indiana, she's in, welke Stamm, which tribe? From America, gehören Sie, Herr Marco? And she got real nervous. I was an Indian, honest to God. She thought I was going to whoop it up at night with a tomahawk. She was very concerned. And I said, nein, I said, Frau Tora, ich bin aus dem Staat, I'm out of the state, Indiana. And she said, oh yeah, it's in viele Indianer dort. There are a lot of Indians there, aren't there? She couldn't get it out of her head that I wasn't an Indian. You know, because if you came from Indiana, you were an Indian.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Oh my God.
And I said, well, no, there are many states in America, you know, and the one I grew up in just happens to be called Indiana. And she said, but that has to do with Indians in Germany. She kept arguing in the street, you know. And I said, well, I'm not sure how much it is with the old Indian tribes. That did it. That really got over it. I wasn't sure. I didn't know it. Why was Indiana called Indiana? I don't know. I never knew.
That's true, yeah.
I don't know either.
So anyway, of course the news got to the town bathhouse right away, but I was an Indian. And they sized me up and down. Well, Carl the brewer over there, he came in. I was sitting there waiting already, and he made a couple of the older ladies scooch over so he could sit down next to me. And he said in German, he said, Ich bin Karl Junger or something like that. He said in German, he said, do you understand my German? You know, in German. I said, yeah, it seems pretty good. He said, it's time we had a big talk. It was the big talk. I thought, oh my God, no, not him too. And he said, Indiana, you're from Indiana. He said, now, why should we be concerned with that? And I said, well, really, when I tell people, they ask me, you know, what city are you from? Really, in America, Midwest, and the city that's the biggest and nearest is Chicago. He went, Chicago? He went, oh my God, gangsters. He said to me. So now I was a gangster from Chicago, not just an Indian.
Oh my God.
It was so bizarre. And he said that was, and he couldn't think of Al's first name, Capone, right? And I said, yeah, but I wasn't born yet, you know, and all that. He said, you live near there? He couldn't get over it. So then his buddy, the brewer, his partner, came in, and they always were close to each other in time. And he stood up, the old guy, clicked his heels together, and he said, I have to introduce you to his partner, you know, this guy. He said, you are sitting next to a distant relative of the gangster Al Capone. And the guy, everybody knew Al Capone over there in movies, right? And the guy said, where is Al Capone? And he pointed to me. He said, the Americana is when Al Capone's town. He knew Al Capone. He goes, he's, you know, he said, yeah, well, no, really, you talk to him. And then he goes, now the whole place is quiet, and I'm a gangster. I'm an Indian with my landlady, and I'm a gangster with Al Capone. And I lived there, I don't know, 10 days, and I was marked. So the waitress, when I met her in April or so, she said, you're the American. Yeah. So haben wir alle gehört. We all heard about you. And I said, oh no, in German I said, not the stories, not the fairy tales. What did you hear? And she said, well, there was a criminal American that you live near. I don't remember his name. And I said, Al Capone? She said, I think so. In German, she got real wide-eyed. Well, the Stamtish is picking all this up too, right? They're having fun with it. And it was so funny. So then I had to, weeks later, I went in one more time, and they always met every Tuesday or something like that, the Stamtish. They insisted that this was like a Thursday night, and They were going to be there Tuesday. And one of them was there eating with his wife. And he came over to my little table and he said, would you please come in and meet our table? We would be honored to hear your stories from America, you know, what you were and all that. And they don't do that with foreigners, but I spoke fairly interesting German. So then I went in 2 weeks later or something on a Tuesday, and they were all sitting there, and I just nodded. You know, Dad gave me the classic German hello to strangers that's very polite, high form is Abend. Little two fingers off your eyebrow. Abend. Good evening. You know, they all the old Germans use that. So I just went by and said Abend. Then I went to the table and sat down, my table, and Elsa, the beauty, came over within 5 minutes, and she said she had my order ready to process in the kitchen. And she said, when you're finished with your dinner, in German, she said, would you have time? They invited you to their table. They would like to meet you tonight. Big honor, right? I thought, oh boy. I told Dad about it, I think, on the phone or something once, and he said, really? Now you're sitting at the Stamtish? At the travel tables? He got a big kick out of it. And then they just asked me a lot of questions about why I was there mainly, and about where I lived. They wanted to know, you know, is it a big city, or, and of course Al Capone came up. And I tried to zero play it, get rid of it, you know. And I said, well, there are a lot of movies made on him from that area, Chicago, you know, Unzergegend, our region. But I said, you know, I never knew anybody who knew him or his family. You know, he was in the whiskey business, liquor, you know, and sold a lot of bootleg liquor, because it was banned in America. You couldn't buy it then, you know. And they couldn't understand that, because that would never happen in Germany.
Oh, yeah, never thought of that.
So that was it was an interesting year. I mean, to meet the two local brewers that owned the German beer place, and then get earmarked so quickly, right? But
Now was it?
It was a harmless year.
It was that year, somewhere that you got these books, these old books.
Yeah, at that Stammtisch.
That's the Stammtisch. It was one of the guys.
One of the guys sitting there, he said he learned that Dad was German, American born, but German educated. He said, I have some books your father would enjoy reading from way, way back. So he brought two in. I don't know where the other one is. It's probably in a box. And by golly, Dad dug into it. He was interested. He said, boy, he said, that's one of the oldest books I've read from Germany. Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed it, you know, the preaching in the book, you know, about advice to farm people, you know, and how to be healthier in 1800. I mean,
interesting, yeah.
So odd, you know.
Yeah.
He got a kick out of that.
Funny.
I moved around in Germany a lot. I learned a fairly good amount of street German in the pubs, and eating, you know, and then having an extra beer, meeting locals and talking with them and all that. And then the students that were at Tuebingen University, there was a large group of them from England, Scotland and all of England, and they were always in the pubs drinking. And I didn't drink that much then. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy them because they were cocky, especially the ones from Scotland that we had in Tuebingen. Marjorie Gardner was a doll, but Alex Henderson and the rest, they thought Americans were really stupid. We were really uneducated, you know. And I sort of just let them alone, but still made friends with 3 or 4 of them. But
how does Tuebingen spelled? Is it T-U-B-I-N-G-E-N?
yeah, with the umlauts on the U, the 2 dots.
Okay.
And to replace those on our machines, you put an E after